Okay, so 2 weeks ago, I made a video about my new computer, my new specs regarding that computer, and the things I was hoping to do with it. And since then, a lot has happened, most of which was, user error and kind of adjusting to the PC. So in the next video, I'm going to tell you all about that. But in this video, I hope you enjoy the content, and you know what to do. Go ahead and like and subscribe for more content, because it's coming. I am back. I'm not going anywhere. So today we're just going to keep it simple. I want to talk to you guys about gamification of learning and briefly explain what it is, because I plan on talking a lot about it on this channel. So someone like me who's from this e-learning sort of sphere of education, as my master's in educational technology and new media is ramping up, I am noticing that there are a lot of ways to gamify your learning. The gamification of learning and exactly what that is, because in subsequent videos, I do want to kind of explore how to gamify education, gamify the learning process in general outside of traditional avenues like education, outside of classrooms. So this is going to be that preliminary video that I want to be able to reference to when someone goes, what is gamification of learning? Google says the gamification of learning is just an educational approach that seeks to motivate students by using video game design or game elements in learning environments. So that is the basis of how to gamify learning, right? We add these elements that are traditionally associated with gaming into the learning environment. And again, the goal is to like learning. The goal is to enjoy the learning process, and that's what keeps the students motivated, the learner motivated. You can think about apps like Duolingo, Class Dojo, these things that like assign points and levels as you learn. Kahoot is another really popular one, even Khan Academy to some extent. We're gonna go through this article by elearningindustry.com by Mario Bujan. I'm probably butchering that last name, Bujan. And yeah, it was written in November back in 2021, so it's pretty recent. And it has a few interesting ideas in it that really unpacks gamifying learning, the gamification of learning, and e-learning in general, and sort of a few things about what that's looking like in 2022. I really thought the summary was a good one. Gamification for learning is a process that uses game mechanics to enhance learning. This article discusses strategies and examples of how it's done effectively. So, gamification for learning, strategies and examples. I think the best way that we learn is we get these concrete examples, and that helps us sort of imagine other ways we could adapt it, add to it, those kinds of things. Before we jump into it, I just appreciated the language of this article. They talk about the gamification for learning opposed to like the gamification of learning. It's for the purpose of something, right? We're not just gamifying this for fun. We're gamifying learning for purpose, for motivation, an intrinsic thing inside of us that wants to either compete, collaborate. It's all sort of embedded in this idea. So gamification for learning is a process that uses game mechanics to enhance learning. It's not exactly a new idea. It's just something to rethink how we teach, how we learn, and consume content. So the gamification uses elements and mechanics that resemble gaming to enhance the learning process. This motivates students. It gets them interested, it gets them engaged. It also increases their learning retention rate when they are engaged and motivated to learn. It also improves their knowledge retention rate, what they actually take away from the content you want them to learn from. Because ultimately, the gamifying of learning is really just a strategy to improve learning. It's to make it more engaging. This article says the first thing is gamification connects people on an emotional level. Think about why. I mean, when you play a game alone, it's a lot different of an experience when you invite a friend to play with you. It makes it more powerful. Number 2, recall is controlled by the hippocampus. The hippocampus is actually that part of the brain that tells us to remember. It helps us recall things. And it's obviously not shocking that this article is letting us know that, hey, guess what? When you're playing anything that's gamified, that part of your brain is being stimulated. So if you can take something you've already learned or you have an interest in learning and you gamify it, you're actually accessing that part of your brain. That helps you store new information and long-term memory. So those things need to be exercised. And more importantly, this article goes on to point out that dopamine, a neurotransmitter linked with learning and memory, is also released from the hippocampus. So that is a very important part of our brain that we should be accessing and exercising on a regular basis. 3, stories are just easier to digest for a lot of people's brains. And again, it depends on what kind of learner you are, but I think that's a very true statement. A lot of us are narrative-based creatures. We kind of gravitate towards relatable things. That's why we like stories. And we can remember these things way easier than like facts, right? I still to this day don't remember the periodical table chart, whatever that's called. Anyway, that's also why you remember the plot twists in movies, right? Just on a human level, we love stories. Games give us these stories, or we even get to create them ourselves, which again, that hippocampus, when we're creating something, it's firing off fast. 4. It gives us endorphins. We get a rush when we game. So if you're looking to relax, focus, or just calm down, you might already have that kind of inkling to lean towards maybe an app on your phone. Maybe it is a game on your PC, or maybe it's your console that's nearby. The reason we reach towards those things is because it gives us these shots of endorphins, and it's naturally a painkiller. It helps us chill. So gamification strategies applied to many learning in situations and opportunities improve these endorphins. You can chill while you learn. You can hang out and feel good about what you're learning. Endorphin release is ideal for focused learning. When you can feel relaxed and at calm, you're ready to take risks, you're ready to have fun. 5. Playing games keeps your brain healthy. Neuroplasticity is a real thing. You'll use it or you lose it. I mean, I know it sounds, cheesy, but that is true. You use it or you lose it. This article goes on to talk about the brain stimuli and how we develop those new connections. When we're able to exercise these neural pathways, that's when we're increasing our cognitive skills like memory, short-term memory, long-term memory, attention spans. We enhance our creativity, even our problem solving. That's also why a lot of old folks' homes recommend playing games, because it does help cognitive decline as well. So why am I telling you this? So why should you even care about gamification of learning? If you're not an educator or a student, but maybe you're just learning on your own, well, maybe gamifying your learning is how you are going to learn that new skill, that new hobby that you've been wanting to do. So in all sorts of fields, they're gamifying their learning. Again, any content, any skill you're looking to learn, I'm sure there's an industry that's already gamifying that subject. Just look at businesses. I mean, businesses have been doing this forever to maximize their own incentives within companies, right? I mean, yeah, incentives being paid is a lot better than a good grade or maybe even learning a new skill for some people, even though intrinsically as a human, I think learning a new skill over money is beneficial, but I digress. So before I let you off, I just wanted you to think about gamification as a learning process and a strategy that you could apply just about anything. So I want you to just leave this video knowing what the gamification of learning is and a few things that people are doing right now to get it going. So whether you're doing soft skills training, you're doing something with education, maybe your product training, whatever the case may be, you can gamify that learning content and motivate and engage the people that are also trying to learn from that content too. And in the process, you are personalizing this learning. And while you personalize the learning, you're handing the control to the learners. And that's what makes it more of a meaningful experience for all involved. So I hope that helped kind of define and put definitions to what gamification of learning is, for learning is. And again, this was an overview, very short and sweet. I'm going to go into detail in many other sections, especially if you have questions, leave them in the comments. I will get to them. And I probably will make some videos around those questions. I'm really interested in mobile learning too. So I hope you enjoyed this overview. And if you did, you know what to do at this point. Go ahead and like that video. You can check out that video. You can hit the bell below to get notified when I do post content, because more is coming.